And welcome to Gentle Yoga, whether you're joining me live or watching our recording. Beginning today with a seated posture. Finding a nice tall spine. And I wanted to share with you the yogic concepts of fake it till you make it. So sometimes we kind of show up to the mat and we might not be in the best of spirits or the highest of energy. But in yoga, there is a concept called Santosha, which means contentment, and we practice it, right? So even if we might not be feeling it, we practice contentment. And there's actually a mudra to go with this, a hand gesture that goes with the fake it till you make it. And I'll come close so you can see it. This is the Hansi Mudra, which is the gesture of the inner smile. The gesture of the inner smile means to bring all of the fingers except the pinky to touch the thumb. And those pinkies kind of remain out to the side, and we hold the arms out to the sides. And so you can see my body kind of looks like a upturned corners of a smile. So practicing Santosha with our Hansi Mudra, helpful when your spirits might need a little bit of a lift as we come to sit in this gesture of the inner smile and finding the breath in this moment. Just coming into this moment by observing the breath coming in at the nostrils, maybe releasing out of the mouth today or out of the nostrils, either way, breathing in and breathing out. And with my hands like this and my arms out to the sides, I feel a little bit more openness throughout my chest area. And so it's said that this can also support your immune function, the thymus gland right at the chest area. And this is from a book on mudras, and I don't know what the scientific backup is on that, but hey, I can feel this openness in the chest. I'm going to go with that. So as we sit in the Hansi Mudra, I'll share one more statement with you. This is a Chinese proverb that I really like. You cannot prevent the birds of sorrow from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from building nests in your hair. So practicing our contentment here and not allowing those birds of sorrow to make nests in our hair. That's good. Well, you better clear the hair out there for a moment. Let's see if we can just take 3 breaths together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose or mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, nose or mouth. And one more. Big breath in. And release. And you can release your Hansi Mudra as well. Maybe roll the wrists a little bit. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And then let's bring a little bit of movement into the head and neck. So I'll just relax my hands into my lap. I'm going to tuck my chin, lift my head up and back. Right as we move throughout our practice today, just practicing contentment with what is. Practicing contentment with a very stiff neck, perhaps. But this is the way my neck is this morning, and I'm going to breathe into it. Perhaps through my yoga practice, I can find even more contentment. I might move my head from side to side, tucking the chin towards the ear, other ear. And then I might, keeping my head upright, just turn my chin to look over one shoulder, turn to look over the other shoulder. And as you do this, see if you can notice which side is a little less challenging. Right, so I'm kind of practicing contentment here with finding which side feels a little bit easier. And for me, it's the left. There's a little bit of resistance as I try to move to the right side. And maybe you're free and easy on both sides, and that's great. And then if there's any other head or neck movement you'd like to incorporate, maybe some circles. Keeping that breath moving. And then as you're ready, coming back to that neutral posture, we'll inhale the arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center, coming together with our typical Anjali Mudra we practice every class we meet. Inhale, arms rise out and up. Anjali Mudra joins together the right, left hemispheres of body and brain. Breathing in, breathing out. So we find this balance in the moment. Breathing in, breathing out. And it's an offering. Breathing in, breathing out, and taking one more arm salute to your own pace. Resting the hands at heart center. Perhaps you'd like to take a moment to just dedicate your practice, offer your practice to someone in your life or something in your life at this moment you'd like to send a little bit of awareness to. Very good. Interlacing the fingers. Press the palms away like you're kind of getting ready to play the piano. You're a piano player, cracking your knuckles. And then we'll lift the arms up, kind of kiss the ceiling with the palms. And maybe a little bit of side stretch to one side, keeping both sit bones glued down. Coming back to center to the other side. Stretching the side body, right? All those little muscles between the ribs that are in charge of 25% of our respiration effort. Those have to stretch too. Good. And then as you're ready, we will release down, bring the hands behind the back briefly. Maybe you can interlace the fingers or grab opposite wrists and just open that heart up. Nice broad collarbones, breathing in and breathing out. Release the arms and let's just crawl forward onto hands and knees. Maybe the blocks to the upper corners of the mat. As we find a tabletop posture. A tabletop posture, just connecting with the earth for a moment here. And noticing where the weight's distributed across the hands, the tops of the feet, or maybe you've got the toes tucked. We'll begin to slowly, gently move the spine. So perhaps we'll start today with pushing the earth away and gently rounding the back and taking a breath into this rounded shape. And as you exhale, sink the belly and lift the heart. Moving back and forth at your own pace. And of course, if there's a better way for you to breathe, you can explore that. Just beginning to move the spine. Kind of assess the state of your spine, your lower back, your upper back, your middle back. Maybe we'll take one more. And then let's stretch just the right leg long with the toes still on the ground. You might rock forward a little bit, rock back, or you could stay right where you are, depending on how your feet are feeling today. And then I'm going to lift my right heel up and just allow this right leg to drift over to the left side, maybe somewhere on the mat or off the mat, depending on your flexibility there. We're going to take a peek over the left shoulder for a side stretch. So now I can kind of bring my breath to the right side of my body. 2 or 3 breaths here, loosening up the side of the body. And then we'll come back to neutral and stretch that left leg long. Rock forward, rock back, little pat up under the knees if you need it, Barb, and blocks in the hands if your wrists are feeling tender. I'll lift my left heel up and cross it over to the right side somewhere, toe touching down. Take a peek over the right shoulder. Yeah, do you feel that stretch in the left side of your body? I feel it in my left hip. Breathing into the left side of your body. And then slow reset back to center. I'm going to give my wrists a little break here, tucking my toes under and sitting back on my toes. If that's not available to you, modifying. I'll just go ahead and just lightly kind of rinse my wrists loose, maybe creating the infinity symbol with my wrists, and then shaking it out. And then let's build up our balancing tiger. So I'll come back onto my hands and knees. I'm going to stretch that right leg out, toe pointing down. Right. I'm not lifting as far as I can go. I'm lifting straight out from the hip. And then from here, with a nice, strong, stable core, lifting my left arm straight out in front, maybe the gaze at the top of my mat. Take a big breath in, feel that strength in the body. And then we'll switch sides, lifting the left leg, right arm, and holding for a breath or two. And just noticing how the sides feel, the different sides. And then when you're ready, if you feel like maybe kind of pumping the pistons a little bit, you could move back and forth at whatever pace feels like it accommodates remaining stable. Finding that stability in the center of the body, in the pelvis. Right? And not forgetting to just keep the breath right there with you. That's good, Amy. Taking your time, finding what feels right for you. That's great, Deb. We'll take maybe one more on each side. And then we're going to sink back into child's pose. So child's pose, maybe you have a way you like to modify this. Maybe you have a prop you like to use, or way you like to rest the knees. Okay, so coming into your child's pose, seeing if you can allow the forehead to touch something. Maybe you can stretch the arms a little bit longer. And maybe you can breathe into the back of the body. And feeling that length in the spine. And in this moment, just finding one thing to be content about. Just one thing in your life right now that brings you a feeling of contentment. Maybe it's that cup of coffee when you first wake up. One little thing. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly come up. Reset the knees if you have them apart. Tuck the toes under. Find your downward dog. I'm not in any hurry to get there. So I'm going to keep my knees bent to start. Let's see if I can lift my hips up nice and high. And then I'm going to press down one heel at a time. Walk the dog. Keeping my breath moving. I tend to forget about my breath here. That's good, Deb. Finding your way. And you got it. Judy, got your little kitty cat keeping company today, as always. And then maybe for a moment, trying to get both heels towards the earth. Doesn't matter if they don't touch. That's good, Leanne. Haven't missed a beat. Coming forward to your high plank. I'll stay here for 3 breaths today. So seeing if you can hold your high plank for 3 breaths. Shoulders over wrists. The hips are dropped down, right? But I've got lots of space in my shoulder joints. That's good, Walt, finding the breath. And then I'll simply bring my knees down, shift my weight forward to a high cobra, tops of the feet touch. And I'm not, like lifting my neck, lifting my head back aggressively, but I am lengthening the back of my neck. I feel a big stretch from my low back here and that openness across the chest, right? When we were in our Hansi Mudra, feeling that openness across the chest. And now we'll slowly come back up to the downward facing dog, right? If you need to take a break on the wrists, we will be headed to the top of the mat. So maybe taking a couple breaths in down dog. And then as you're ready, lifting to tiptoes, bend the knees, look forward, take a lot of little steps to the top of the mat. Maybe the hands walk back towards you. I'm going to come up halfway, kind of reset for my ragdoll. If you need to, take off a layer or grab a sip of water. Coming into my ragdoll forward fold. Right? If you're caring for low back issues, maybe you keep a really big bend to the knees. Grabbing opposite elbows. Maybe you can let go of holding onto the head. Right? Giving the neck a break. But modifying this for yourself, for your body. Yeah, that's good. When you're ready, come on up. Come on up, walk it out a little bit, roll the wrists, shake it out, get that sip of water. And then we'll meet in mountain pose. All right. Coming to the top of the mat. And just standing in what feels like a stable posture for you. And I'm going to ask you to maybe bring the feet about hips width distance apart. Right? And when I say hips width distance, it's not the outside edge of the hip, it's the hip joint. So that's kind of where the thigh bone meets the hip. And so I'm just going to rock from side to side. And I might close my eyes here. Rocking from side to side like a pendulum swinging back and forth, eventually coming to rest at what feels like the center. So I'm just kind of moving from side to side, moving my hips from side to side, moving the weight from one foot to the other. And then eventually coming to what feels like center. I've still got my eyes closed. And then I'll open the eyes and notice for a moment which side of the room I can see more of. Is it the left side? Am I taking in more of the left side or the right side? Taking a moment to notice that. And for me, I see much more of the left side. And then the right side is not quite so much there. And I think my tendency is to hold my body a little bit to the left. And in our neck range of motion, maybe you notice it was harder to go to one side. And for me, that side was the right. And so I'm kind of got to retrain my body to find a little bit more symmetry, for whatever reason that is. Maybe we hold the backpack on that left shoulder all the time or that right shoulder all the time. It's just our signature of movement. All right, so let's lift up onto the tiptoes and come back down now that I've kind of brought my awareness to the symmetry in my body and finding center. I'm going to float the arms out to the sides and release down. And I'm just going to do this at my own pace. Maybe I'm just using the arm movement today, right? If I'm experiencing any discomfort in the feet. And just noticing where you put the weight in the feet. Is it the inside edges? Is it the outside edges? So if you have the tendency to roll in or roll out, you might adjust accordingly. And big breath in. Maybe you hold at the top for a moment and slowly float your way down. Yeah, we'll take one more like that. Inhale, hold at the top, wide across the chest, and release down. That's good, guys. I'm going to step my right foot forward, left foot back in a high lunge, just like we did last week, all 10 toes to the top of the mat. right? If this is, puts too much pressure on your foot, you can bring the foot down. All 10 toes to the top of the mat, the back heel is lifted. Right, I'm bending into my right knee. I'm feeling a little bit of a stretch here in my left hip. So I'm going to remember my Hansi Mudra and bring all of my fingers to my thumb except the pinky. And I might bring my arms out to the sides. Right, practicing contentment. I might reach those arms a little bit wider, right? Really stretch the arms wide. And then as I inhale, I'm going to straighten my leg and lift my arms overhead, maybe the fingers touching at center. And then exhale, release, sink down, arms out to the sides. Inhale, bring the Hansi Mudra to touch overhead, straighten the legs. Exhale, release down, feels so good on my hips. Good, last one, inhale and exhale. Now just bring my hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, and see how it would feel to step up to mountain pose and take my time getting there. Beautiful. And then we'll switch to the other side. Left foot forward, right foot back. All 10 toes to the top of the mat. Back heel may be lifted or back heel down according to your feet. Right, finding that stability, maybe you widen the stance. Maybe you tip that pelvic bowl back a little bit. And then Hansi Mudra, all the fingers except for the pinky touching. We'll bring the arms out to the side. So picturing in your mind's eye, maybe somebody that you know and love well, smiling, right? What does their smile look like? Just kind of incorporating that into your practice. Maybe it's your child or spouse or friend, or maybe it's, how sometimes dogs look like they smile? It makes me laugh every time. So let's inhale and straighten, bring the Hansi Mudra to touch. Exhale, release down. Right, inhale, that smile growing bigger and bigger. Exhale, nice relaxed smile. Inhale, lift. Last one. Exhale, sink down. So feeling that stretch in the right hip. That's good, Barb. Bringing the hands to heart center. We're going to take a nice slow step up to mountain pose. Good. Rub those hands together. Nice, Ted. Roll the wrists. Take a little walk back to the back of your mat. Feet together. Arms out to the sides like a tightrope walker. We'll take our balance beam walk. Right, so I'm just going to step my right heel in front of my left toes, touching. Walk to the top of the mat. And this feels too easy for me, so I'll close my eyes. And maybe for you, you want to make that a slow blink. I personally haven't practiced this in a while. And this can be really challenging with the eyes closed. And once you get to the top, you can make your way back. And my teacher, Barb, you'll be happy to know, says walking backwards is really good for the knees. Really good for the knees to walk backwards. Now, I don't know if they meant on a balance beam with your eyes closed, but hey, we'll take it. All right, and then we'll walk to the front one last time. Taking your time, Larry. Vicky looks good. And then we'll meet at the top of the mat. I'm going to grab a block and squeeze that block between my thighs. Right? So immediately with the block here, I feel this sense of anchoring, strength. So squeeze the block. These are some of the largest muscles in our body we're going to be using. When we sink into chair pose, bending the knees, shifting the weight back, take a peek down, make sure you can still see your toes. Right? That might mean you need to shift the bum back a little bit. Inhale the arms straight out in front. Good. Sink a little lower. So being careful with the knees here if this feels like too much, Barb. I'm going to inhale, straighten everything. Exhale, sink down. Maybe a little deeper. Good. Inhale, straighten everything. Exhale, side bend to the right. Gotcha. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend left. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down. Yeah, that's good. Breathing in, rising up. Breathing out, side bend right. Breathing in, center. Breathing out, side bend left. Breathing in, center. Last time we're going to sink down into the chair pose. Right, maybe we lift the arms up by the ears, sinking down, weight across the feet. Right, just noticing, you're straightening those arms as best you can. Good. It's a lot of work, right? Good. And releasing up. Take that block out. We'll take a little dance. We'll pause for a dance party. So I'm just going to lift one knee out to the side, my little hip rotation dance. Opposite arm lifting in the opposite direction. And I'm keeping my breath moving, and I'm not taking myself too seriously. I'm just having a little fun in my body, practicing this contentment, Santosha, for what is. And if I'm not feeling it, maybe if I do it and I make an effort, I will begin to feel it. Fake it till you make it, right? Nice, Leanne. Coming out of a little bit of downtime. All right. And then meeting me back on your mat here. We'll take some wide-legged stance now. So taking the feet apart to just take a little measure here. So I'm going to lift my arms out to the sides and see if I can bring my feet wide enough so that my ankles and my feet basically line up. And that might feel like way too wide for you because if you have really long arms. So you can adjust accordingly. We really do want you to mostly just feel stable. Now I'll bring my hands back down. I'm going to turn my right toes to the right, angle my left foot in, coming into warrior two. Right, warrior two, I might bend and straighten my front knee a few times. That knee never going forward of the ankle. So if you look at your knee and it's going forward, that means you can lengthen your stance a little bit. Those long-legged folks, you've got a little farther to travel maybe. Now from here, I'll lift my arms out to the sides, and it's totally optional if you want to practice your Hansi Mudra here, all the fingers except the pinky joining together with the thumb. Taking that peek over the right hand. Let's see if we can hold here for 2 or 3 breaths. Releasing tension from the shoulders and the jaw. That is another apparent benefit of the Hansi Mudra, is that relief of tension. Now from here, I'm going to come into our reverse warrior. So I'll bring my right arm up and the left arm down and reach back as far as feels safe for you. If you'd like a little bit of extra length, you could straighten that right knee. You got it, guys. Beautiful. Come back down. Let's go ahead and come to a warrior two with the palms facing down. Remember your intention for showing up for yoga today. And then we'll straighten this front leg, hands to the hips. Let's heel toe that back foot closer to the front foot for triangle pose. So it's just shortening your stance. And maybe that left foot is angled in a little bit more to allow the hip to travel. So I'm going to allow my left hip to kick out a little bit as I reach down the right leg with my right arm. And maybe I don't go very far. I want to keep that left shoulder back. Right? It has this tendency to kind of crumble in, and I want to keep it nice and back here. And then from here, I'll lift my left arm, maybe straight up, or I could keep it on the hip. Right? The gaze could be straight ahead, it could be down, or it could be up towards this left thumb. Right? If you have a little bit more to travel, you might rotate that left hip in a little bit more, travel down a little farther. Triangle pose. quite a challenging pose. You got it, Walt. Beautiful. And then slow travel up really nicely, Anne. You got it now. Good. Let's come back to center, circle the hips. Let's kind of release the hips a little bit. Yeah, take that sip of water, whatever you need. And we'll do those same two poses on the other side. I'm going to turn my left toes to the left. Angle the right foot in. Sink into the left knee. And maybe find my Hansi Mudra. All fingers coming to the thumb except for the pinky. And reaching the arms out. So I've got my palms facing up and there's a little more openness across my chest as I'm feeling here. And I might take a peek at that left knee, make sure it's not traveling forward of the left ankle. Looks good, Francois. Beautiful, Judy. I'm just finding my breath here. We're finding that one thing I'm feeling content about in this moment. And maybe that's something really, really small, like looking forward to, something really simple later today. From here, I'm going to reverse my warrior, bringing that right hand down, left arm up, really breathing into that left side body, and then option to straighten that left knee. That's good, really stretching back. And then we'll slow travel, right? Take a little break there, Vicky, if you need it for the hips. Back to that warrior two, palms facing down. That's good, Larry. And then we'll release the hands to the hips, straighten that left knee, and heel toe the back foot forward to shorten the stance. And I'm going to kind of angle that back foot a little bit more so I can free up this right hip to kind of sass back, if you will. The little sassing out that right hip. As I reach down, left hand traveling down my left leg, maybe I don't go very far. Right? So I can keep my right shoulder back. When you're ready, maybe the right arm reaches up. Let that right hip curl in. Good. Maybe the gaze stays straight ahead, down, or even up towards the right thumb. Can you find one more breath here? That's good, Beth. Slowly traveling back up. All 10 toes to the side of the mat. See if we can find a wide-legged forward fold. So I'm going to inhale, puff up my heart. As I exhale, slowly folding forward. Right, this will help those muscles stretch out. You're going to be using for moving today, Barb. Maybe I'll bring my hands down onto the earth or onto my blocks. If I can, I might let go of holding on to my head. Walking the hands back to line up with the heels if I have that in my practice today. And then rather than allowing the shoulders to sink down by the ears, I'm going to pull the shoulders back up, away from the ears. And then as you're ready, slowly coming back up, maybe coming up with a flat back first, taking a breath. The hands can come to the hips and with control, lifting the body. That's good. And then maybe we take a little hoppy hop, right? A bunny hop. I guess we're getting ready for Easter. Walk it out a little bit and then come to find your wall or a place if you need a little support today for a balanced posture. So we're going to take tree pose, option to practice your mudra with that tree pose today. So we're going to do a nice long hold of our tree pose today, unless you have stuff going on in your feet, ankles, or hips, knees, right? So you might take a shorter hold and switch sides. So it's up to you how long you want to be. I'd like to take 5 breaths once I get up into my tree pose. So I'll take the weight, little bendy bounce, weight into that right foot, pick up that left heel, open the knee to the side. find my point of contact. It could be down on the calf. The toe could be down on the ground the whole time. You could have that back to the wall the whole time. Right? Maybe the foot comes up a little higher, but I'm not going to force it. You could start with the hands to heart center. If this is better for you, staying here with the hands at heart center. Right? Maybe we form that Hansi Mudra and just bring the arms out to the sides. That gesture of the inner smile. And finding the breath. Seeing if you can keep most of your attention on the breath. Doing what feels best for you in your body in this moment. Awesome, guys. Really good now. And we'll slow release from your tree. Right? Seems like you could stay there all day, Walt. Looking really good today. No, you can't? All right. Well, we'll work on that, right? We'll try the left side. Sometimes the left side is more or less challenging. Little bendy bounce, kind of getting ready for it. Really one of my favorite all-time yoga poses. Weight in that left foot. Pick up the right heel, open the knee to the side, and then find your point of contact. It might be higher or might stay right where it is. It's pretty much the rule is anywhere but the knee. Hands coming to heart center. Lift that crown of the head up nice and tall, right? That tallest tree. And then option to find your Hansi Mudra today. All the fingers touching the thumbs except the pinkies. A gesture of the inner smile. And maybe there's an outer smile too. Finding that breath. Staying with it. If you fall out, coming back. Right? Yoga, it's called a yoga practice. We practice yoga. There is no winning. There is no race. There is no competition. It is all practice. And then as you're ready, yeah, that's good. You came back, slow release. But if you haven't done much of the tree, you can stay there for a little while longer, nieces. Then I'm just going to kick it all out. And then we'll come back to the top of the mat. I'm going to inhale my arms out and up. Exhale, slow, fold forward all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back. And as I exhale, I'll plant my hands, come to tabletop, and then come to sit. Coming to sit with perhaps my legs out to the sides a little bit in a V shape. Yeah, take your time, come down safely. Adjust the cameras if need be, and take that sip of water if need be. And then in my wide-legged forward fold, today I'm going to make this active. Sometimes we practice this more like a yin pose. Today we're going to make this nice and active. So if this is difficult to sit here like this, you can bring the arms behind you for a little bit of an extra support. So what I'm going to try to do is I'll push my legs down into the earth and lift my heels up. Even if they don't lift, I'm trying to lift the heels up. And I'm really pushing the earth away with my hands, if I've got my hands behind me, and my legs pushing into the earth. If I have a little more flexibility, I might bring my hands in front of me and start to lean forward, but I'm not going to force that. And I'm really working here to push the legs down. And I feel lots of effort in the inside of my legs all the way out. Just finding the breath here. Right? Maybe I can just relax the muscles in the face. Allow the jaw to hang a little bit. Take a few breaths. Maybe you've come a little farther forward. We're not losing the engagement. I'm not rounding my back forward, especially if I have osteoporosis. A little bit of a longer hold. Good, and then we'll come up nice and slow. Bring those feet together, knees drifting apart. And I'm just going to take a moment to massage my feet, right? If that's something that would feel useful to you this morning. I think I've told you the incredible, miraculous story of how I have rehabbed my feet through oiling them every night before I go to bed. Oiling my feet every night before I go to bed, I now have 0 calluses. Places that were like my rough heels, totally gone, like baby's feet. So proud of this thing. And it really does come to show you that the things you do every day have the most impact on your health and well-being. So just a very simple act of oiling the feet every night has been really useful to me. And happy to chat more about what kind of oil, et cetera, if you have any more questions about that. Coming to sit, both legs straight out in front. I'm going to slowly bring this right knee in. Yeah, it's head. You're getting better at that pose. I can really see the knees coming down a little bit. So hugging that right knee in. I'm going to measure a fist distance between the foot and the thigh. I'm going to try to keep my spine nice and tall here. I know it might be difficult for some. And then I'll start to twist to the right and hug that knee with my left arm. The right arm can come down behind you like a kickstand. And I'm going to avoid the temptation of just jutting my chin forward and rounding my back. So I'm lengthening the back of my neck. That left leg is engaged. The heel's even lifted off the ground. Right? I'm twisting and looking over that right shoulder, seeing if I can kind of just wring out the body, getting ready for, this new season that's upon us, the spring, and a lot more activity than we've been used to for the last months. Slow travel back to center. Switch it up. Hug that left knee in. Hugging the left knee in, right leg long. Measure that distance between the feet. Good, we'll sit up nice and tall. And just take a gentle twist to the left, the arm supporting your twist. So I got that left hand down behind me. And I'm going to notice what's happening to my chin and to my upper back and seeing if I can sit up really tall and almost pretend I'm trying to keep a mango between my chin and my chest. Right? I don't want to lose that mango. Breath in, breath out. And then as you're ready, slow release back to center. And then we'll come to, for those of us who are practicing reclining postures, coming to lie on the back. Coming to lie on the back, right with the knees bent. And mostly just now sort of beginning to bring my attention a little bit more inward. So if you wanted to close the eyes, you could rest the hands on the hip points. And even if you're seated, you could do these pelvic tilts with us. So I'm just going to be rocking my pelvis up and down with the belly button lifting and the belly button pressing down. Right? I'm just accentuating and erasing the lumbar curve. And kind of noticing how this feels for me. And if I don't have any discomfort, maybe that means I'm practicing my contentment. Right? If I do have discomfort, maybe it's less than what it was when I first woke up. And I can practice my Santosha there again. Rocking the pelvis. Now we'll go ahead and hug that right knee in. Press the left leg long. Right, so Larry, we're going to do some leg stretches. If you'd like to use the strap in your chair or whatever you want, it's all up to you. Grabbing onto that right leg and then finding the back of the right thigh with the hands, pushing the foot up towards the ceiling. Okay, so I'm just holding onto my leg and pulling that leg towards me and pushing the leg back into the hands. So I'm finding a really strong stretch here in the back of my legs. Maybe my hands travel up a little higher. I'm not going to force it. Maybe my leg is straight or there's a little bend. I'm pushing my low back down into the earth and I'm rolling my ankle. Just breathing here. That's good, Nell. That's good, Amy, taking care of you. And then hugging that right knee in. And I'm going to open that right knee out to the right. So a little bit of hip opening here. So I'm just holding onto that right leg with my right arm. The knee is bent and I'm opening the right knee out to the right. The left arm can just drape over to the left. Seeing if I can kind of relax a little bit. Maybe relax that left leg that was contracting. Relax the hips a little bit. Breathe into the deeper belly. Fill up the pelvic bowl with the breath. And then we'll slowly bring that knee back to center and switch sides with control. Left leg coming in, right leg going long. Grabbing onto that left knee and hugging it in towards the chest. Pushing the low back down into the earth. And then eventually grabbing onto the back of the left leg and pushing the foot up towards the ceiling. Great, maybe some seated strap stretches here for you, Larry. I'm going to roll my ankle a few times. Just explore maybe my hands coming up a little bit higher, pushing the leg into the hands, as well as pulling the leg back. That low back pushing down into the earth. And my breath is flowing. Eventually hugging that left leg in. And bringing the left knee over to the left. Gentle hip opening as the right arm reaches to the right. Just allowing my breath to kind of reach a little bit deeper down into the pelvic bowl. Maybe letting go of holding on to any of the joints in the lower body, upper body. And then coming back to neutral, placing both feet down on the earth with the knees bent. If you're not there already. And if you'd like, you can grab a block and place that block between the thighs as we prepare ourselves for a few bridge pulses or bridge pose. We'll start with an active bridge pose here. So I'm just going to squeeze the block and I might try to bring my feet a little closer to my body. My arms at my sides, like robot arms, fingertips towards the ceiling, elbows bent. And I'm going to try to shimmy those elbows a little closer to the body, pushing into the earth with my upper arms, and then lifting my hips. Never looking from side to side. Just looking straight down the nose. And then if it's in your practice, you could interlace the fingers under the body. Wriggle the shoulders, get a little higher. And maybe lift the hips a little higher. Not forgetting to breathe and noticing where the breath goes for you in bridge pose. Or you could do an active camel pose, Larry, on the knees, just lifting the heart, little mini back bends. And I might come up onto my tiptoes today and then release my heels back down, lift all 10 toes.
Press the foot down, lift the heel up. So rocking my feet a little bit. And then from here, with the feet planted firmly, I'll lift my arms overhead without coming down. And then slowly release the spine down. Let's see if you can notice each vertebra one by one. Any areas that feel sticky or blocked, you might stay there, explore. And then once you come to rest on the earth, give it another little wave. So lifting the hips, arms still overhead, squeezing that block. Breath in. As you exhale, slow release down, one vertebra at a time. Kind of staying with any areas that feel like there's not a whole lot of sensation or ability to differentiate. And then eventually, as you come down fully, taking the block to the side, bringing the feet out to the width of your mat, arms to the sides, and washing the knees from side to side, windshield wipers. And you can do this in a seated posture, Larry, if you like, with the feet wide apart, knees drifting from side to side. I've got my knees bent, and I'm just washing the knees from side to side with the feet nice and wide. That's good, Barb. Just rinsing everything out today. And then we'll go ahead and hug the knees into the chest one more time. Press the low back down into the earth. You could get very small, even lifting the head, lifting the chest up. Try to touch the nose or the forehead to the knees. It might not ever happen, but that's what I'm trying to do. And then I'll release. Bring my feet down. Arms out to the sides. Palms facing down. I'm going to lift both feet up towards the ceiling. Tick-tock leg time. Both feet lifting. Low back pressing down. I'm just going to slowly bring my legs both over to about 11 o'clock on the dial to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, 1 o'clock on the dial to the right. And I'm going to move back and forth, really slowly with control. Option to bend the knees here if this feels like too intense for your back. Right? Making any adjustments to modify for your own body, your own personal anatomy today. I don't know, there's just something so cheering about looking up at the tile of all of my students and just seeing these happy little feet going from side to side. Maybe you go a little farther, but I know it's really hard work. I know it's really hard work to do this tick-tock legs, especially if you have longer legs or really muscular legs. So maybe you just take 1 or 2 more. Right? Eventually, might be working towards getting those legs all the way to one side. And that's something I'm working on, but it's just not happening. And I want to be safe for my back. And eventually, when you're ready, you can hug those knees into the chest, plant them down. And we'll come into a figure 4. So I'm going to cross my right ankle over my left knee. Reach up through the window of the legs and hug the knee in towards the chest, keeping that right foot flexed. Option, Larry, to do this seated, right? So you got that right foot over the left knee and kind of keeping the chest lifted. Yeah, it's good. Could be quite a big stretch. Keeping the breath moving here. And then as you're ready, slow plant that left foot down. Cross the knee all the way over, guide the knees to the left. Right arm reaching to the right for your gentle spinal twist. Right, so we're not switching sides yet. The right knee is over the left. Knees nestling, and the knees drop to the left side while we reach to the right. So you feel a little spinal twist here. Maybe you can begin to let go. Knees could just be side by side too, with the knees dropping to one side. Coming back to center. Back to center, switch it up. Left ankle over the right knee. Finding your figure 4 stretch here. This is our gentler version of a pigeon pose that we often will see in yoga, where there is way too much stress put on the knee joint in the pigeon pose that you see. Anywho, this is a very great way to experience this piriformis stretch, stretching the glute med, the glute max, all these muscles around the hip joints. And then as you're ready, releasing that right foot down. Cross the knee all the way over, right? So the knees nestle, and then the knees will slowly drift to the right. They don't have to touch down. The knees drifting to the right as we keep the left shoulder on the earth. And maybe this feels like too much for you. And if that's the case, you can uncross the knees and allow the knees to be side by side, reaching to the right. Finding what works for you. Slow travel back to center. I'm going to scoot a little block underneath my hips. For one last pose here, our supported shoulder stand. So with the blocks underneath the hips, or the sacrum, I should say, I'm going to grab onto the blocks and see how it would feel to lift both of my legs up towards the ceiling and then make any accommodations so I feel really stable. With the legs lifted, just going to hang out here for a moment, let all of that beautiful fluid drain back to the heart. I might point and flex my toes a few times. Right, it's kind of up to you how long you want to stay in this pose, because our next pose is Shavasana. So if you feel like you want to come to Shavasana now, you could go there now, or you could hold this for, maybe another 5 breaths. Totally up to you. This can be relieving if any of you have ever experienced varicose veins, although it is not something that prevents them per se, but it can relieve some pressure if you have varicose veins. So just keeping the legs elevated like this. And then when you're ready, just bending the knees, planting the feet down, sliding your block to the side, making any other last little movements the body's asking for, and then getting yourself tucked in for your Shavasana pose. Whether you practice that lying down today, or whether you practice that seated. Right, I'm just taking a moment to rest. Just letting go of everything for 1 minute. Allowing all of the blood to circulate throughout the body.
letting go of the breath, and letting go of thoughts. Finding contentment in this moment of stillness, of silence. As you're ready, bringing the awareness to the breath, allowing that breath to fill up the body, revitalize, reinvigorate. Maybe bring a little bit of movement, fingers and toes. Right now, you are in your home, and if you need to experience this relaxation a little bit longer, you can do that, of course. If you're ready to begin to make your way up, we'll come to seated posture. Coming to my seated posture, maybe practicing one more of our mudra gesture of inner contentment here, the inner smile. All the fingers except the pinky touching the thumbs. Just embodying that smile, embodying that contentment for a moment longer. And then as you're ready, we'll just bring the hands into Anjali Mudra at the heart. May all beings everywhere be free and happy. And may our thoughts, words, and actions in some way contribute to that happiness and that freedom. Thank you so much for your practice today. We'll bring it in for one Om after this inhale. Om. Namaste.